In this link building masterclass with Sir Linksalot, Chris and Nicholas are going to be talking about the best link building strategies for 2024, including their take on outreach, HARO, PBNs, Connectively, tiered link building, how to build backlinks, the best tools, and pretty much everything you can ever imagine when it comes to link building and getting backlinks, and how to get free backlinks as well. Let's go. So, what's the best link building strategy in 2024?
Oh my
Dang.
God. He just starts right away.
There we go. Right out of the gate.
Trade
Building
into it.
just guest posts and link insertions, just slam outreach. I don't know. Pay people money for links. And then once you get really big, maybe do some PR.
Are you using ChatGPT to automate any of it, or?
You can use ChatGPT to help like writing your outreach emails and stuff if you want. But honestly, we're not like super heavy like ChatGPT or anything. Are you?
So, for example, like for us, what we found was we were just rewriting the outreach funnels like over and over again for every client. And so at that point, we just created some custom GPTs and some prompts to rewrite the outreach copy. We saved a ton of time. You cut out all the grammatical errors that you would normally get from a team of virtual assistants setting up outreach funnels, right?
Yeah, for sure. It can be good if you're like switching lanes, switching niches or whatever, and just want a new template or whatever. I haven't really used the custom PTs very much, but I remember seeing on your channel, you were starting to use them like pretty heavily. Custom GPTs are pretty much almost like just like a template. It's like pasting like multiple things into a GPT and just getting it to do something in a certain order.
Yeah, exactly. So with a custom GPT, you can train it on exactly what you want. So for example, I got one for creating tweets where I can take a video transcript, plug it into the GPT, and it'll cut it up and chop it up 10 different ways so that I can use that for tweets. And so it's like a custom built tool. One of the things I've actually found from custom GPTs is that when you create them and you've got a link in your bio, say custom GPT built by juliangoldie.com, you start getting backlinks from all these GPT directories, and they link to your profile as well, to your website. And so it's quite an easy way to get backlinks at scale, but also you can train it to slide in a few affiliate links as well when people are talking to it.
Yeah, I saw you doing some of that kind of stuff as well. But how does the backlink actually go to your website? Why doesn't the backlink like just go to the GPT page or whatever? Or do they just like link to you too because they see who made it?
Yeah, exactly. So it's linked to the GPT, linked to the person who made it, basically.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. But yeah, I feel like as far as like link building goes, I feel like, and we say this quite often, and it's like a lame answer, but people are like, what's the best way to build links in 2024? And we're like, man, like link building hasn't changed in like a decade. Like it
That's
hasn't.
what I was going to
Like
ask.
we can pretend, we can like use like all the buzzwords you want and shit, but like just do outreach, get guest posts, get link insertions. Everything else is just like noise, right? And maybe PBNs have fallen out of favor. We used to use PBNs a lot more, but we're using them less now, even though we still do use them. Yeah, just much to a lesser degree for sure.
Yeah, I found the same. Is, for example, when I started learning link building, I was using outreach. And to this day, like 7 years later, we're still using the same techniques. And I think people are just looking for some sort of silver bullet, but actually there's no new shiny object. It's just rinsing and repeating the old techniques, right? And just refining the process along the way.
How aggressive would you say you're being as far as like targeting inner pages with exact match anchors, et cetera? Because I'm still big on best practice being homepage, natural anchors, get that thing beefy and resonating in the SERPs, and then strategically going inner pages. But overall, bread and butter, niche edits, guest posts, that same practice, and I'm moving from there. But like y'all are saying, nothing has changed much as far as my recipe.
Yeah. So for all of our clients and all my portfolio websites, if I'm doing outreach, I actually just build links to my inner pages only, rarely to my home pages.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. And then if I get, for example, if I get a link from like Forbes or something like that, then it will go to my homepage as a kind of PR link. But typically we do inner page links only. And then what I recommend to my clients and what we do for our own sites is we'll link to 5 or 6 different pages from that inner page.
Do these clients already have a solid base of backlinks going to their assets then? And are you talking about fresh sites and then targeting inner pages predominantly with a fresh site?
Yeah. So typically most clients that come to us, they've already got revenue coming in.
I'm not really sure what kind of link building you're doing now, but I remember I looked at your stuff a while back and you were mainly doing Skyscraper style outreach. Are you still doing that kind of thing? Like basically just snatching up competitor backlinks and linking to like similar content, or yeah, what are you doing these days?
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much the same. So we use Pitchbox as a software for outreach. And then that's like already got the templates and the system set up. So you can just go through the workflow, set up the outreach campaign, and you're good to go. And just rinse and repeat it for pretty much almost any niche. We've experimented as well with Harrow. I know they've just
Mhm.
switched actively. Have you tried Harrow much for link building?
No,
Not
we don't
really.
really use it much at all, to be honest. But I'm interested with the new switch over to Connectively. I've been getting those emails like every day, so might have to see what's going on now that they're doing the $1 payment or whatever it's required.
I think that's a really smart move because they've single-handedly overnight wiped out 99% of the people that were just copying and pasting from ChatGPT without any quality checking, right?
How's that going to, won't they just pay the dollar though? Because it's like you have to pay like $1 for like X amount of like emails or whatever, right? Or like X amount of like applications. But can't they just pay it and still keep spamming and probably still make pretty good money?
I don't think so because the thing is, if you just copy and pasting nonsense, then your conversion rate is going to be absolutely trash. Even if your conversion rate is good, best
Hmm.
is going to be absolutely best is going to be like 10%, which means that
Hmm.
you're spending about $15 per backlink. But for 99% of people who have no experience with Harrow or are just hiring some virtual assistant or Upwork to do it for them with no training, they're going to be looking at least $50 or $60 for a backlink that's not guaranteed to be do followed. It's not
Hmm.
guaranteed to go to their homepage. You could just link to their LinkedIn profile. Chances are it's not going to come through within 30 days. It might be 60 or 90 days before that backlink comes in.
So Haro figured out how to deal with AI content spam before Google.
It's super smart. Yeah. I honestly think as well, they haven't come out and said we're doing this because of ChatGPT,
Yeah,
but it must be related
Fair.
to that, right?
yeah,
It must be.
yeah, because they're getting spammed the shit out of them, right?
Yeah, exactly. One of the other things that I found is we stopped doing Harrow link building probably around January 2023.
Hmm.
And the link building process is so slow that even today, to my website,
Getting some.
juliangold.com, we still have backlinks coming in from Harrow. Like
Yeah.
more 12 months later. It's insane.
I feel like the worst part about Haro is then you end up getting added to these like spam lists and shit. So like people are like reverse like selling you on stuff. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like you're going trying to get links and then that's they're trying to sell you something in your inbox.
Yeah. 100%. Like you try and get links and then someone will say, oh, do you want to do a reciprocal link exchange? Or do you want to buy this link? And blah, blah, blah. You get locked in, right? You
Maybe
get
SEOs did ruin the internet. That's all I'm saying.
Or we're close to it.
How do you feel about the future of SEO? I saw this statistic from Packabune recently that was
Uh,
like by 2025, which is less than 12 months away, 99.9% of the internet is going to be AI generated.
yeah. So I guess I'll go first and we'll see what Nick says, but I'm actually not worried about it at all. I think SEO is going to change drastically. I'm not really sure how we'll be making our money in 5, 10 years from now, but I feel like I don't feel worried at all. Like I feel like all of us, including yourself, Julian, like we have the knowledge and the skill set now that it doesn't really matter like exactly how the shift happens, but we'll be able to like just shift our priorities to like where we need to go. Whether that's if we need to be more active on like different socials or if like other search engines start taking more market share, or if SEO just changes completely, or maybe people just don't even do SEO anymore. Maybe people do not trust text-based content anymore and it all goes video. You're already on YouTube like a million hours a week or whatever. I feel like especially you're positioned like quite well already. Like it doesn't even like matter for you. You do link building. So of course that would probably hurt a little bit. But anyway, you'd figure out how to monetize like elsewhere. It doesn't have to be link building. But yeah, so I don't know where it's gonna go, but honestly, I stopped paying attention to all the stuff, and we just really try to focus on like brand building, just doing like all the stuff: email, paid ads, social media, video, organic, text-based content. Just do all the stuff and just shifting depending on where the wind blows.
Yeah. The way that I see it is I'm not fearful of, say, SEO dying or even link building dying. Like someone could come along with a tool. I've made tools myself where you can automate, say, link building with Harrow, right? And it sends the responses for you, it filters all the responses coming in, etc. And you can automate it that way. And I've given it away for free. And still people buy link building today. And I'm not fearful of that. I think you always have to adapt no matter what happens. And the main thing is, if I was a link builder watching this, I'd be like, it's not about link building. It's about how much value are you giving to other people. So the more people you help, the more money you make. And as long as you're giving some sort of value away, whatever service that could be setting up podcasts and arranging them. It could be link building. It could be helping people with YouTube videos. It could be coaching for agencies. whatever it is, as long as you're helping people, that's how you make money.
Yeah.
For sure.
Ultimately, over the last decade, there's always been some doom and gloom saying it's going to be dead in another couple of years. Oh, be fearful of this. But the fact of the matter is, if you're diversifying well with what you know how to do, doing all the things, then your plate's always full. I think it's easy to just conceptualize doing this as, oh, we're SEOs, but really we're doing way more than just being SEOs. We're branding, we're branching out and do a lot of different levels. So I don't know. Like Chris said, I haven't been worried about anything in a long time. Just keep your head down, keep working, and the rest is noise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Let's say we've got 16 hours a day. If you put 100% of your mental energy into making something work, if you're doing the right things in those 16 hours all day, every day, and you're dedicating to making it work, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter what's going to happen.
I was just gonna say that I feel like the days of having some like ragtag like content site with nothing else going, just like a bare bones like affiliate site and like making like really good money, I feel like those days might be coming to an end. But if you just focus on like doing more stuff, like having a bigger like digital presence, whether it's on social media or video or whatever, it should be good. And you could probably still make money just doing like purely like text-based, like low energy affiliate sites and stuff. But I feel like maybe basically there'll be like some kind of a cap, right? Like before, maybe you could make like really good money doing that. I feel like that's going to come down and maybe be a bit rarer, or just you won't be able to earn like as much compared to people who are doing all the stuff.
Yeah. And if you, for example, look at search generative experience, the AI update coming from Google, the biggest differentiator that I've seen, and this is the same after the helpful content update, is it's not necessarily the content, it's not necessarily the niche, it's not even the PR you get. It's like how many backlinks in your domain rating, right? If you look at,
Mm.
for example, Reddit or LinkedIn, I saw a tweet about this the other day. I think you might posted it too. Is these websites, they all have the most backlinks on the internet. They all have
Yeah.
the authority on the internet. That's why they're ranking and doing so well.
Yeah. Yeah, we had this conversation with someone in our Facebook group recently because they were like, Google doesn't prefer authority, they prefer human conversations. I was like, where are these human
Mm.
conversations happening? They're happening on these websites that have the most authority, like kind of
Yeah.
anybody on the internet. It's not like they're ranking some like random forum where people are like talking about stuff. They're ranking like the
Yeah.
biggest of the forum.
Oh, this one
So it's
really
like,
hits some good talking points. Let's rank it, right?
yeah,
No.
these people are really conversing over here and sharing
Well,
helpful content.
although isn't that intuitive quite yet.
And LinkedIn posts as well. You post a blog on LinkedIn posts, there's no human conversation there. It's
Yeah.
like people are just copying and pasting from ChatGPT or using an auto blogging one-click tool, generating the content. It's got nothing to do with humans, but it's getting
Yeah.
posted. Yeah.
I've definitely got that on my to-do list to do a little parasite spamming here pretty soon. See how that goes.
One of the things you mentioned before was like, you're stopping using PBNs. You're not going to use PBNs so much. Why is that?
Nick's been in the PBN game for quite some time. Nick, what do you think's going on with PBNs?
I just don't use them as much because I got started right in PBN. That's the first thing I learned how to build that really grabbed my attention. Was I figured out what a PBN was. I thought, wow, this is cool because I can create like this hour hub that's black hat, whatever you want to call it. And it grabbed me. But at that point in time, they were working really well and you could use them as a crutch to really push some projects. Over time, I started learning about link diversification. I've talked about this before, where the first time it really hit me was like a ton of bricks. I was watching a friend of mine who's in cybersecurity put up a hack that he figured out, and his little 10-page website got a bunch of traction just to an inner page, shot up through the SERPs overnight. We're talking about 700 referring domains, something like that, going to this little mom and pop website, 10-page website. And at the time, there were all these people playing fear mongering kind of tactics on you can't be too aggressive to an inner page. It's going to look wrong. It's going to get you de-indexed, yada, yada. But this showed me that it was possible. And then in going through that navigating, I realized, okay, what is it that this has that people aren't emulating? And it was diversification of the backlinks. Like, where do they come from? You've got contextual links coming in from articles. You've got forum links. You've got just all kinds of different links. And so creating that kind of network became something I was far more interested in because it would give you a bigger level of manipulation from a backlinking standard, right? In doing so, then I started looking at PBNs for what they are, which is one of the rarest links that you're actually going to find naturally occurring, right? If I think about it, it's a contextual homepage link hitting your site. So if you've got 100 of those and absolutely nothing else coming, it's not something that would be naturally occurring. Typically, people are paying for those kinds of links, monthly fees to keep them on there, et cetera. So in looking at that, it changed the way that I looked at building my backlink campaigns all in all. And really, that's why I got away from it. If I use a PBN now, it's typically going to be a natural anchor to the homepage just to beef up authority. It's very rare that I'll do exact match anchors using a PBN to an inner page. Not to say that it doesn't work, but I've just got a different strategy for how I use them now. Overall authority building.
I feel like they've also just become like less effective though. Like they still can work, but like you were saying, I feel like diversity is so much more important now. When I first started doing SEO 16 or something, I felt like you could get away with using PBN so much more. Like you could really make it like the main thing you were doing. Maybe you're doing some other stuff like citations or links from YouTube or whatever, just a bunch of like pillow links or whatever you want to call them, foundational links. But it's like you could really just do a lot of PBNs and a bunch of this other kind of like junk and not, you didn't really need to do outreach or like guest posts or link insertions that much. But I feel like now if you do that kind of thing, like you're just gonna get fucking clapped. Like they're gonna hit you hard or you just stall out. And it's things like you're just like, why isn't the site like moving or whatever? And it just, yeah, you just get stuck in the mud. And I don't really know what it was or like what update or anything. I can't like pinpoint anything. Maybe you can, Nick. But
yeah, we lost you a little bit. But dude, talking about, it's almost like I'd forgotten about that phase too. There was a point too when I was heavily relying on PBN, and that was like one of the main products that I was selling right around the time Diggity had sold his PBN company, right? And I remember he hadn't sold it, but I don't think, but like for 3 months, this is just giving me a timeline. And all of a sudden we had that one update that fucking crashed. And sorry, yeah, I don't know if we're allowed to curse on your show. We're bad mouthers, but it just tanked so many networks. And that day, I remember talking to 3 different PBN vendors and they're like, how much of your fucking network did you lose? And we'd lost around like 30% of that network. And I felt like we were very well insulated with how we were doing things. But some people lost 80+% of their networks right then and there. That kind of check, seeing that kind of hit come in was enough to make me think maybe it's worthwhile to pursue some other ventures because that was a heavy money hit. Like when you lose that many PBNs, sure, your clients, they've got issues like those networks are going down, they're affecting their rankings and stuff, but you literally just lost all these domains that you spent that money on, all the content that you procured to beef up these domains, et cetera. That kind of made that seem a little less desirable in forms of like reliance. But yeah, it's almost like I'd shut that little piece of history out of my head. Yeah, it was a heavy time for PBN vendors.
The shift happened right when I started doing SEO because I was learning and I was like, oh shit, PBNs are dope. And then so I got really interested in it as well because I like how it felt a little slimy and I liked more like black hat stuff back then. But then, yeah, it was like in that first like year or two of me like starting stuff, it was like things really started to move and then people were talking about like guest posts, link insertions, whatever. And yeah, it was probably like slightly after that big PBN hit that you were talking about. I'm not sure what year that it was in, but I think it was either right before or right around the same time that I was starting.
Yeah, I think maybe around 2017, if I remember right, somewhere around there though. But yeah, it was a fun little volatile time. But at that point in time, it's you count your blessings. You still got your network. You've still got everything moving along. But if you're heavily relying on something, which I was at the time, then looking for new opportunities becomes something that you realize is a necessity in this game, tying on to what we were talking about earlier, diversifying what you're doing. This comes into backlinks, being an SEO that can work ads, different angles, brand building, et cetera. Yeah. It's fun how theories in how you do your backlinking campaigns tie into basically anything else you do as well. You want to be insulated by being able to do multiple things or have multiple avenues of winning essentially.
Yeah, I think that diversification is a massive part of the game with SEO, right? So like diversifying your niches, diversifying the backlinks you gain, even diversification with the team that you're hiring. Because if you just one person and then the 2 biggest competitor, it's over, right? Do you do any tiered link building as well?
We do tiered link building, but we're not as crazy about it as some people. And we're like much more quote white hat about it than a lot of people. We don't like to use like any like auto generated kind of stuff. We don't like spam anything. We do like to use, for example, we sell some like really like low authority niche edits. We like using that kind of stuff or like low end PBN, or we also sell like stuff we call like diversity link packs, which will come like 20 links. They're basically like $5 a link or something. And, or you could basically use this like cheap stuff without going like the super like automated kind of spam route. And when we do tiered link building, we normally build it to like the really big important like social profiles, whether it's like your YouTube channel or maybe your Facebook page is important or your Instagram, whatever, like whatever your Pinterest, whatever is important to your business, building it to that kind of stuff. Or maybe tell them like really important, if you get like a really big like editorial backlink or something like that, you can juice those things up. But like we're definitely not, we don't do tiered link building to every link we build or anywhere even close to that.
Most projects, it's like, all right, we've been building backlinks to this asset for 3, 4 months. Let's come in, comb with some tier 2, tier 3 links, maybe tier 3, honestly. And it's just a blast that comes out, but it's every few months. I'm not actively pursuing tiered link building. And if I'm being honest on smaller projects, if it's a local thing, I'm not really thinking about it at all unless I'm having trouble with competition, which I really haven't faced in a long time. And as far as spamming, I haven't used something like GSA in 6, 7+ years, but I know some guys are out there still doing it. We had Campbell on the show not long ago, and he's ranting and raving about how much he loves using GSA. And honestly, before talking to him in depth, I was like, man, that shit is dead, and it's been dead a long time. Earlier, we were recording our AMA or like our little podcast, and it was like, it's all subjective to what you're working on. The niche, the geographic region, everything is different. So all the variables are different depending on what you're working on. And everybody's got their own little recipes for success. But yeah, tiered link building, I think you're way more aggressive about tiered link building than we are based on what we're saying right now. Julian?
I've never done tiered link building.
Oh,
Never tried
really?
it.
Oh, right
Except
on. Okay.
I did GSA about 10 years ago,
Uh huh.
and it's really fun to play around with that and
It's
scrape
fun.
bolts.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. But like you said, I think unless you test it, you just don't know. It's like GSA could work today, and I'm not going to say it doesn't work unless I
Yeah.
test it myself. That's it.
But honestly, do you care, right? If it does work, is it like something you're really going to go out of your way to look on? You've got your recipes to success, right? And once you've got those, I feel like you're more like prodding with anything you add to your toolkit. But once you've got the recipes to get top positions in the SERPs, once I found those, I feel like I just stuck to the idea of bread and butter as far as backlinking goes. I never got too crazy outside of that.
Yeah, 100%. I think if you have, for us, for example, as a link building agency, we only offer one service, which is link building. And then we only offer one type of link building, which is outreach. And it's like that level of focus has allowed us to scale. But if we were like,
Right.
we're going to do a bit of GSA over here, we're going to do some PBNs, we're going to do some outreach, and then we might do a cheeky little bit of HARO as well. To scale all of those would be a total nightmare. Like different teams, different systems, different SOPs for every single one of them. I couldn't imagine that.
It's not that bad. You just do one little Lego piece at a time, and then eventually they build up and you've just got this kind of bigger network of stuff. That's how we started. The first thing we were doing was just like link insertions. And we slowly started adding like one little product at a time, setting up the team for it and whatnot. There's definitely benefits to being more laser focused like yourself as well. You just put all your energy and effort into the one thing rather than being too spread out.
Yeah, the
I
thing
was
I find is as an agency, in terms of income streams, is we might have one client that is interested in GSA, and then we've got 100 clients over here interested in outreach. And it's like, why am I going to bother to make 1% more just to help that one single client and hire a team as help systems when I
Right.
can scale was working and obviously has 100 times the demand? It's
Mhm.
right, we'll just stay focused over here. That's the way that I see it, but I might look back in 5 years and go, actually, I was wrong. I should do it different.
Maybe
I,
I'll make another competitor to us right now, even though we're already kind of competitors and whatever.
Mm.
But another reason to make these other little like services and products could be like a lower barrier of entry for new clients. So maybe like someone wants to come in and they're not ready to spend like the big bucks on outreach links, but maybe you sell them on some of these kind of, what citations or whatever. I forget what they call this. There's a name in marketing, but it gets them in the door. You don't make much money off of it, whatever. But then they're in your
It's a gateway
ecosystem.
drug.
Yeah, it's like a gateway. And so then maybe they want to upgrade and spend some money on some of your higher ticket items later on, once you've delivered good value for them for the cheaper entry point.
yeah, I see what you're saying. This is the way that I look at it as an agency, and I'm just being 100% transparent with everyone watching. So
Hmm.
it's like you say, every client has different budgets and different resources they can invest, right? And so The way that I see it is that we have an ascension funnel. And if we have a client over here who doesn't have the budget, let's put the price over here and we have the time over here, we'll give them the free ChatGPT SEO course. So we have always in the link in the comments for every single YouTube video. And obviously all those videos already created, SPs created. We don't need to do any extra work for that. We're just going to help you. Then for some clients, they want to specialize in link building, but they only have $7 to invest. And so we're like, okay, you can just implement it yourself based on the book or the course that I've created. And then there's going to be some clients who are like, I want to do it all myself because I don't have the budget to hire an agency, but I need a bit of coaching from you. And then we're like, okay, join the SEO mastermind and just learn how to do it yourself. And then over here, there's going to be some clients who are like, we want to spend 1 or 2K a month with you and we're ready to progress in terms of investing. We have the resources, etc. And we don't want to invest any time into it. And so at every single layer of budgets and restrictions, we don't offer different services, but we have a very scalable system, right? So it's like free course, $7 tripwire, agency SEO mastermind, agency service. And that's basically how I see it, because this way we can help everyone who needs help, but it's very scalable and it doesn't require setting up a new system or a new service or hiring a new team or cracking code on it.
Yeah, your funnel is definitely a little bit different from ours. You're definitely more on like kind of with the YouTube channel and everything. You're much more on like the information sharing and whatnot, getting them into your free courses and stuff. So it's definitely a little bit of a different of a funnel. Like we have this kind of like little bigger like product web, I guess, where like someone might find us just for social profiles, or they might find us just for citations. Maybe they've never seen our YouTube channel or heard us give any kind of talks about anything. But then once they're in our like back end system, like, oh, they sell all these other things. That's cool. And then, maybe they just come back and buy more stuff later.
If I'd had it my way back in the day, I don't think I would have ever been on a video. Chris really forced my hand in that. He was like, no, we need to get out there. We need to start doing this. I think it comes down to like concepts, right? Like why we get involved. For me, I got involved in backlinking because it was the first thing that kind of like interested me. And then I thought about it from like the hearse perspective. Whoever wants to control the most newspapers controls the forest. And so I looked at the PBN, which is all I knew how to do at that point in time, as the forest. Like I'd have a power hub. And with that power hub, then I'd be able to manipulate SERPs for a wide range of different websites that I'd want to go after. And then in learning about diversification, right, then I start adding a little bit more to the toolkit, a little more to the toolkit. And before you knew it, it was like, okay, we've got these products, right? Like we can also sell these products and still work on these side assets as well. So it becomes like this kind of flourishing ecosystem. And then it blew out from there. And originally, like I said, I didn't want to do the education-based thing. I wanted to be in the shadows, but Chris was 100% right. Let's promote.
Well, you're going to be the face. So I was like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I dragged you onto the live streams. I was like, it'd be better if there was 2 people.
And now I'm still here.
I think what you've done is really smart though, because you've created a brand that differentiates you from everyone else. It's like, how many link builders? I don't know about you. Every single day, without fail, I get about 5 to 10 link builders reaching out to me trying to sell backlinks. And if I'm a link builder and I'm getting that, I can't imagine how many clients are just getting bombarded with thousands of outreach emails every month.
Oh yeah,
and that differentiates you from everyone else, like the brand,
right?
Yeah, but you've definitely got quite the funnel set up yourself, and like the way you're doing YouTube and stuff is way smarter than what we're doing. What we're doing on YouTube is it's not optimized to grow, right? It's easy to do. It's easy to do, provides value, gets our face out there, makes some trust and whatnot. But as far as like the mega like lead generating system, I think like your way is way better, way more like over the shoulder stuff, showing like practical stuff. We just answer questions off the cuff, and I think there's only so much growth that can be had with that. But it definitely has the trust and kind of just rounds out the kind of brand thing we got going on.
Julian, who were some of the guys that like that you were following early on, like 7-10 years ago, like when you got started? Who were some of the guys that got you into backlinking? Because I remember the landscape was more difficult than it is now. There wasn't that much free flowing information back then. At least not, I don't remember it being that way.
Yeah. So years and years ago, when we were talking about GSA earlier,
Mm-hmm.
I think I probably paid for that through Matthew Woodward's
Okay,
GSA
sure.
link. And that was off his blog. It wasn't like YouTube or anything like that. And the thing that I noticed when I was first getting into the game with SEO and building my agency felt extremely competitive because you had all these giants who were marketing, Neil Patel,
Mhm.
Brian Dean at Backlink. There was no room. Even authority hackers were everywhere, I think, back then, especially. And whereas now I think they rely more on ads and organic. And it just
Sure.
felt like there was no room to maneuver. Whereas if I look at, say, probably the last 12 to 16 months, there's never been a bigger opportunity for someone in SEO to come along and try and be the thought leader, particularly because Neil Patel making about 100 million a year,
Yeah.
he's not really going to be that focused on growing an organic following. And the same with, for example, Brian Dean, he sold backlink codes to the game a little bit. You
Yeah.
don't see his content anywhere here as much. And it's like that change of who's creating content organically, along with the rise of AI, which is just overtaking everything in SEO, I think. These two things created the perfect circumstances for people like us to come along and try and gain more market share in terms of organic
Sure.
reach.
Yeah. I fell into, by luck, it was OMG machines, but OMG machines, you had to pay a hefty fee to get into. And then I don't know if you ever looked at their stuff. It looked incredibly scammy. Like by today's standards, it'd be like, I remember when my buddy showed it to me, he's, this is what we're going to be studying on. This looks like something you'd see on an infomercial at fucking 1 a.m. and you don't want to touch it. But that was like the first thing. Yeah.
Do you remember as well when Black Cat World was just absolutely
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
When you could actually
Yeah.
go there and learn and operate with a bunch of people,
I would
it's
check it
not
every
there
day
anymore.
back
Hmm.
then, back in the day.
Yeah.
And you would learn something really interesting about how people were making money online and what sort of
Yeah.
experiments people were running.
It's funny. I was watching a couple crypto documentaries recently. One was Bitcoin, and then the other one was about a guy that is up in Canada or was up in Canada that got away with a bunch of money. But they mentioned Black Hat World in one of these documentaries, and I just about screamed at my TV. Yeah, I was there at that point in time, right? But they made it look like this crazy mastermind of a place where, and it was, right? Like you could find all sorts of information, but they were talking about their crypto scams that they were coming up with and hiring VAs off Black Hat World. Yeah, it was a interesting little explorative kind of time. Had I not found those avenues early on in SEO, I don't know if I would have really been that interested in pursuing any of it. Not to say, uh, that I wanted to do anything like shady, but I liked, navigating those kind of places. That's where I figured out, backlinking was what I wanted to focus in on early on. It was fun.
The underworld of the internet, wasn't it? Like
Yeah.
you peeking under the curtain and seeing how
Yeah.
people,
First time I remember buying SAPE links back in the day when it's like they asked you for your passport and stuff like that. And you're like, what? What? All in Russian. You had to translate everything. Yeah, it was exciting. And Chris knows I was a Neanderthal before those times. I didn't work well on a computer. I was bad at it. That kind of piqued my interest.
can I ask you before we go some quick fire sort of actionable questions for people watching, just so that they get as much value out of this as possible?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. A quick fire. Like you don't need to go into massive depth. What are your favorite tools for link building?
Pitchbox, Ahrefs.
Preps, yeah. Gotta be. I'm using it every day.
You're going to say something, Grace.
I was gonna say you could even if someone's like getting into link building, like if just get Ahrefs. Like you can do so much with like Ahrefs and like Google Sheets. You can just build infinite links.
It is still possible to get free backlinks.
Sure. Yeah. But you've got to work your ass off for it. And in the end, it's a trade off for time versus money. Is it possible? And I'm talking about higher end backlinks, right? The ones that are going to push the needle, not forum backlinks, yada, yada. So you're going to have to do extensive outreach. And it's possible, but it's not something I would ever say somebody should really try to get to work for a bigger project.
Much harder.
Or even,
It's much harder to
Fair enough.
scale unpaid backlinks. You can scale paid backlinks like very easily, right? And yeah, and then you can like shift gears once you build your authority and go after maybe like PR style stuff like later on, which maybe you can call unpaid, but you'll probably be paying a PR agency anyways.
What do you think to vanity I mean, I'm framing the question totally wrong here. I'm not going to say vanity metrics. What do you think to metrics like, for example, trust flow, spam score, all these sort of things? Because a lot of people get very confused about it and worried about it when it comes to link.
The only time I really utilize that is when I'm hunting for domains. If I'm using something like Spamzilla or Register Compass, then I am looking at those metrics for like just broad spectrum kind of info, right? And then I'm breaking it down and going down into Ahrefs and actually like combing the backlinks and seeing what kind of quality is there. But for a newer person, which I'm guessing is why you're asking, I'd say shove it out of your mind. Those are good broad spectrum metrics, but nothing is going to make up for actually getting in there and combing through what's making up the back end of a website.
I almost never look at spam score. Don't look at CFTF very much at all. I'd say like traffic and DR are like good indicators to like get started, but then you dig in a little bit from there.
All right, guys. It was awesome having you on the podcast. Learned a
Yeah,
lot
thanks for having
about
us.
the actual stuff as well. So I really appreciate that. Obviously, you sell backlinks. It's the best way to get in touch or buy links from you.
Sir
So
Linksalot.co.
All right, we'll leave a link in the comments and description. And don't buy links of these guys because they're my competitors.
Fair enough.
No, I'm just kidding. I think you guys are great reviews, great community, great brand. Fair play to you.
Yeah, likewise, dude. We're huge fans.
And if our links suck, just go buy from Julian instead. I'm sure his will be better.
You know, I noticed actually, it's like most clients, they won't buy from one place. They'll buy from multiple sources, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad
Go from
idea
vendor
either,
to vendor.
honestly.
Yeah. Anyone with any money anyway, they just go from vendor to vendor, right? They just dry up one, then they go to the next one. Just, vendors.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. All right, guys. Thanks so much, then.
I appreciate you, Julian.
Cheers. Bye-bye. So thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out Sir Linksalot, you can find that at sirlinksalot.co. I've left a link in the comments and description and get backlinks from there. And if you do want to get a free SEO strategy session where we'll talk to you personally about building your link building campaign and getting more backlinks, track your sales, feel free to book that in. Link is in the comments and description as well. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.